Basics of the legislative process in the context of the Hawaii State Legislature and legislation of the example of the Hawaii Seatbelt Law. Objectives. By the end of this tutorial, you should be able to understand the structure of a bill, receive hearing notifications electronically, and be able to submit testimony on a bill. All right, first off, understand the structure of a bill. We have to start off with a subject example. And here's our example. In Hawaii, nearly half of those who die in a motor vehicle crashes were not wearing their seatbelt at the time of the crash. And through examination of crash data, passengers seated in the back seat were more likely to be unrestrained, thus increasing their chances of death and serious injury or getting ejected out of the car. So, with this understanding that there's an issue, you have to look at the actual law. So let's see, we Google search the law, and now we know before 2013, Hawaii's law requires that all drivers and front seat passengers wear a seatbelt. However, backseat passengers over the age of 17 are not required to wear a seatbelt. Thus, we do have a gap in the law. Not everybody's required to do that. What do we do with that information? Well, let's say a committee of concerned traffic safety advocates decides to ask their legislator to introduce a bill that would require all passengers of motor vehicles to wear a seatbelt regardless of their seating position. Now, if you know your legislator, you could introduce anything, but it's good to find out who they are, and then they likely could introduce something for you. Okay, let's look at the bill. First off, we have things, numbers, and titles, and what do they all mean? At the top, we understand this bill is SB number 4HD2. SB is Senate bill. If it has an H, it's a House bill. And 4HD2 means the 4 is the number of the bill. HD2 means it's been heard in the House as well. What else do we need to know is the report title. This gives us the context, and then the description. This is always subject to change, being a little bit of a clause at the bottom that says summary and description of legislation appearing on this page. It is for information purposes only and is not the legislation or evidence of legislative intent. So that's, take this with a grain of salt. Understand that things can change as we move along. And then we will look at the actual bill itself. Same type of stuff, but we understand at the top that it was introduced in 2013. Again, SP number 4, and still relates to motor vehicles. And this is the section. This is a important information to know if it's the actual law itself that's being changed or if it's new law altogether. But this gives the Hawaii Revised Statutes section to look up the actual law, so you can look at it in context. And it's preferred that you have this. It gives you some meat behind it. Then we're going to look at the subject matter. You see that some of the law is stricken, underlined. Underlined means it's being proposed. New language of the law. Stricken means it's being removed. So when we look at the meat of the stuff that's being stricken, we understand that this bill is taking out that age exemption, being certain people to not require. On the back page is who introduced the law itself. Okay, how now to receive hearing notices. First off, you'll need to go to the www.capitol.hawaii.gov website and register. You need to both sign in, but register first. You'll need to set up an account. But once you're at that capitol.hawaii.gov website, you should be able to fill out an easy registration form. And once you've done that, you'll get an email notification that'll help you. Once you're on the website, you'll notice these, and you've logged in, you'll notice these buttons turn orange. You click on hearing notifications, and then you can select the various committees that you are interested in receiving hearing notices for. You might want to look at the actual content. That way it helps you understand what you'll be receiving. But it's good to select Ways and Means Committee, Finance Committees on both House and Senate, as well as Judiciary, because most things have to go through those committees, in addition to the subject matter where you think your information will go in. You can also type in the specific bill you are wanting to track. In this case, it would have been SB4, and then you save and submit, and it makes a list for you. Okay, hearing notices. And we're going to look at an actual one. This would be something you would pull up if you received an email from the legislature, and it'll pull up a link. You scroll down, you find the bill you're looking for. Oh, here's SB4. And you can click on the status and testimony of that bill, and also the actual text of that bill on the hearing notice. So we go to the status and testimony, we find out this is an archived bill, which is fine. SB4 HD2, that it was introduced. We see testimony of this bill on the right. We scroll down to the bottom and we find out that this bill became an act. Submitting testimony. You'll go back to the main page of the website and click on the orange button that says Submit Testimony. Once you are there, you will find a little text box, and you can enter the measure in which you want to respond to. So SB4 was our example. Push Submit, and you'll get clear instructions on how to move forward. Things to remember when submitting testimony. Regard hearing notice rules. Notices will state if no public testimony is accepted. Testimony should be submitted within 24 hours of the scheduled hearing, and always state your position on the measure, whether you support, oppose, or have concerns. Thanks for watching.